Good morning. Welcome to this morning's Dharma School service. I hope everyone is able to stay warm and join us for this morning's service. And we'll begin with the reading of Sambujo and Junirai. So please join us in the reading of Junirai. Good morning. Once again, this morning we have our Dharma message will be presented by Dennis Akizuki.
Let's start by reading the Golden Chain. I am a link in Amita's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I will keep my link bright and strong. I will be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds. May every link in Amita's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Good morning. Let's start off by saying Gassho again. Doing Gassho in Sanbutsuge. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you for joining us this morning for actually the final Dharma School service of 2021. Right, Rinban? Yes. Okay, I got that right. There is no service next week, which is, of course, is the day after Christmas. And because the New Year service is on Saturday, January 1st, there won't be a regular service the following day, January 2nd. As the end of the year quickly approaches, we should be grateful for everything that we have, and in our gratitude say Namo Amida Butsu as a way of expressing our gratitude. I'd like to suggest that we can express our gratitude to someone many of you probably have never met, although you may have seen her. I'm going to refer to the Dharma service book for several songs. How about this song? Happy, 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 when at play I'm happy. Happy, 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 Amida Buddha is with me. I hope some of you recognize that one. And then there's this one. Ding dong, the church bells ring. Ding dong, of joy they sing. And finally, Obon, it's festival day. We will gather friends along the way and bring fruits and vegetables for the shrine, like Moggallana many, many years ago. Okay, so those are 3 songs in this Dharma School service book. And if you didn't know it, all 3 are written by the same person. And all 3, this person has a really deep, long-term connection to the Sensei Betsuin. These are gathas written by Yumiko Hojo, or as I've known her almost all my life, as Mrs. Hojo. I didn't know her anything else by Mrs. Hojo. Her husband was Reverend Ijitsu Hojo, a longtime minister here, and the first Rinban of the temple when it became a Betsuin. She is one of 3 women who are considered pioneers of Shin Buddhist music in the United States. The others are Jane Imamura and Chizu Iwanaga. And Chizu Iwanaga actually has a connection to us here in San Jose. Her daughter-in-law is Reiko Iwanaga, who is our head Obonodori dance instructor. So these 3 women, they worked in the BCA English department after World War II. And they helped arrange and compose gathas, including dozens and dozens of them written in English. They were working on these songs at a time when services were still mostly in Japanese. The English department, I think the purpose was to make sure that the younger generation, 2nd and 3rd generation Japanese Americans who grew up in the temple, they could learn lessons in Sunday school, Dharma school, and sing gathas in English. I think it's very important as we transition from really a Japanese-speaking congregation to an English-speaking one. A little bit about her background, and I'm using this information, a story written in the Wheel of Dharma recently, written by John Kawamoto, who I worked with for many years. Mrs. Hojo grew up on a farm in the community of Sassoon. If you don't know where Sassoon is, it's next to Fairfield. And if you don't know where Fairfield is between here and Sacramento. The family had a fruit ranch. In addition to ranch life, music was a big part of Mrs. Hojo's life from an early age. Her mother was an accomplished koto and shamisen player, and Mrs. Hojo took after her mom, beginning piano lessons at the age of 6. She became so good at this, she accompanied her younger sister, who was a singer, as they performed at events throughout the community. So here's this farm girl from the outskirts of the Bay Area. In those days, it probably took a long time to get from here to Sassoon. But she learned how to play the piano very, very well. Well enough that she was accepted into the prestigious San Jose Conservatory of Music. So just think about that. She's a farmer's daughter moving to the big city to study music. This must have been very challenging for her. She was away from her family, everything she's familiar with. But she jumped right into it. She was studying something she loved, music. She attended classes and practiced 4 hours a day. And she helped take care of an elderly woman in her spare time, which probably there wasn't a lot of spare time. Just 1 week after she graduated, she married Reverend Hojo in June 1941 and joined him at the Stockton Buddhist Temple, where she helped start a junior choir. But just months later, World War II broke out. She, along with 110,000 other Japanese Americans, were forcibly evacuated from their homes. She first went to Turlock, where there was a relocation center, and naturally she brought her music there, where she taught gathas to people there. And from the relocation center, she went to the Gila River internment camp in Arizona, where she continued to play music and teach gathas. In the meantime, her husband, actually as a Buddhist ministers were taken to a separate camp, segregated from the rest of their families. After the war, she and her husband returned to Stockton. They established a Japanese language school at the temple, among other activities that help expand that temple's sangha. So as mentioned, Mrs. Hojo, along with Mrs. Imamura and Mrs. Iwanaga, were involved in writing music, and they worked with the BCA music department. And they composed gathas that are still sung in temples today, and created the collection of Buddhist songs for Sunday schools. What they did was, if you look at some of the old gathas written by converts in Hawaii, they all kind of have kind of a Christian feel to them, which is kind of natural because the writers grew up with Christianity and they're kind of superimposing maybe their Christian upbringing into writing some Buddhist music. Well, these 3 women, they kind of infused more of a Buddhist feel to these gathas. So in 1959 is when Mrs. Hojo came to San Jose when her husband became a resident minister here. She became director of the adult choir. She later founded the junior choir. Under her leadership, the adult choir became a leader in music within the Buddhist churches of America. The choir held yearly recitals, performed in the Pacific Northwest, Hawaii, Canada, and many temple and BCA events. This is just a quick history of Mrs. Hojo, and I just wanted to kind of, if you didn't know about her, to tell you a little bit about her. And we should be grateful to people like her, Jane Iwamura, Chizu Iwanaga. They were trailblazers. They really developed Shin Buddhist music, really Buddhist music in the United States. And so on March 1st of this year, Mrs. Hojo celebrated her 100th birthday. She still lives in the area. I think the choir is working on a project to honor her. So I thought it'd be nice if you out there watching, Dharma school students and even adults, would write Mrs. Hojo a card or a thank you letter, thanking her for all that she's done for us here at the temple, for Shin Buddhists in the United States with her music, using her music to spread the teachings. You could write these cards or letters and drop them off at the office here, and we will deliver them to Mrs. Hojo. So hopefully you learned something, and hopefully you'll be inspired to write something and express your gratitude to her for all that she's done. So as we express that gratitude to Mrs. Hojo, please join me in Gassho and Sanbutsuge. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, those names are long synonymous with the history of music here in the BCA and in Hawaii. When I was a student yet in Hawaii, Kamo and Jane Imamura were Kamo Imamura was the Bishop of Hawaii. And the first thing that Mrs. Imamura did was start a choir. And we, as YBA people, we formed a choir under her direction. So it's nice to remember these contributors to our history. And thank you for reminding us of the importance of Mrs. Hojo's contributions to music, Buddhist music. And if you can, send a card or a letter, Yumiko Hojo, care of the Betsuin. We'll be sure to collect them and pass them along to Mrs. Hojo and her family. Much to be grateful for her contributions to Buddhist music. Thank you very much, and as Dennis reminded us, next week is the day after Christmas. We will have a 10 o'clock service, but no Dharma school service. And then the following week, on the 2nd, the office is closed and no services will be conducted on that day. But come back on the 9th, we'll continue, we'll resume with our Dharma school service and adult English service, 9:30 on the 9th of January and 10:10 on that day. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us this morning. If you please join in Gassho and Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo. Thank you, everybody. Happy holidays. See you next year. Bye-bye. Good morning. Welcome to this morning service. We'll read Sambujo, followed by the reading of Sanbutsuge. So please join us in the reading of Sanbutsuge. 생의 무궁하게 무슈세츠노 고묘시쇼 행시쇼 문군요세쇼진 이진난료료나 사무츠 고쿠노 나이치 모슈키묘 노조조zetsu 고쿠뇨 나이 온니모토소 나토 아이민노 나츠 일사이 지뽀라이 쇼신은 쇼조 이토나 고무케라쿠 안놈 고무츠심요생나신쇼 호츠간노 히리키쇼쇼역 진모세손지에문예 교료시손징나신요 개료신시쇼군노쿠츠 암여쇼진 Good morning, and once again, welcome to this morning's service. This morning's Dharma message will be presented by Mikame Sensei.
Good morning, everyone. So, okay, let us read the three treasures first. Okay, so please join me in Gassho. Hard is it to be born into human life? Now we live in it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Buddhist one? Now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we observe ourselves the principle of way to enlightenment, and awaken ourselves the spring will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we submerge in the depth of doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciple of Buddha, and be free from all hindrances, becoming units of the true accord in a life of harmony. in a spirit of universal oneness, free from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, how is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine? Now we are able to hear it and receive it. Let us solely understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Okay, again, thank you very much for being here. This morning is really cold, isn't it? Right? So I saw the frost on the grass in the Betsuin, but don't worry, we are still warmer side. So because my father in Japan sent me the picture of the snow. My temple in Japan was covered with snow. So it's snow a few inches, and then but still, we are still warmer side. And then he sent me the picture of my nephew making the snow shelter. So it was not very big. So still, maybe it's gonna snow a lot in Japan. But don't worry, we are still warmer side. But please take care of yourself and stay warm and don't catch a cold. Okay, so I'd like to start my Dharma talk by reading the quote from Shinran Shonin's writing, Lamp for the Latter Ages. So please join me in Gassho. Persons of Pure Land tradition attain birth in the Pure Land by becoming their foolish selves. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Thank you very much. So I know there are some famous Japanese words in this Japanese American society. So monku. Monku is a complaint. Benjo is a restroom. And so on. So let me know if there are more. So I was really surprised to hear the bakatare. Bakatare, which means fool or idiot. Which is one of those. So I was really surprised when I heard the people saying bakatare because I didn't expect that they knew this word. And I remembered that my grandma had told me bakatare. Actually, only once when she got really angry when I bought some flowers from my temple member's garden when I was a little. She thought I stole the flowers from their garden, and scolded me. But they actually gave them to me, have me offer those to the altar in the temple. So poor little me. But I've seen the people, said bakatare, not to others, but so they said bakatare to oneself to reflect upon their bad behavior or bad habit, like saying, I'm bakatare, wow, oh my goodness, something like that. So it's not a bad meaning. So maybe, So there's a similar word to bakatare in Zen vocabulary, which was used during their practice. I'm not sure if this word is still commonly used at their practices, but it is tam pan kan. Here's a kanji, which means simply to say bakatare, tam pan kan. Repeat after me, tam pan kan. Okay, good job. Okay, so this word that Zen masters use to scold the Zen practitioners to encourage them to attain enlightenment. The little meaning of tam pan kan is a man who carries a board. So in kanji, carry, board, and man. So which means a man who carries a board. So what is this kind of board? So this this is the whiteboard. So here's the widest board which I have in my house. I brought this cutting board, but yeah, I think this board. So that board is much bigger and longer and wider board maybe. Yeah. So, and then I'm gonna share the background story in the China of this word Tanpangkang. Yeah. Okay. So one day a man visited his friend living in the suburbs while carrying the board on his shoulder, like this maybe. On his way, he was looking around the town and wondering why there are houses only on one side of the street in the town. When he arrived at his friend's house, the man asked him about it. The friend said, "No, that's not right. The houses are supposed to be built on the both sides of the roads." The man dug in his heels and said, "No, I really saw these houses only on one side of the town." After thinking about it, the man realized that he was carrying a board and couldn't see the other side of the street. It is a kind of funny story, but if you carry something on your right shoulder like this, you can see only left side. I can see only the dentist now. But you cannot see the right side, right? I cannot see the tech people who are working on the right side, and Michael. On the other hand, so the same with the other side. So hereafter, people started call the person who can see only one side of the thing, or has a narrow perspective, as a Tanpangkang. And this word got adopted in Zen culture, and this was used as a word for Zen masters to warn the practitioners of their immatureness and their stability that hasn't looked to the big picture in order to encourage their disciples to be aware of the situation and to take the obstruction down and open their hearts. I think Tanpangkang is a great Zen word of encouragement because this includes the compassionate heart of the master who wishes for the practitioner's growth and true awakening. Looking back at my own life through this story, I thought that it is not laughing matter to tease people in this way because it happens to me as well. So we might accidentally hurt others with our words or behaviors while we cannot see everything. We tend to pretend to know as if we knew everything despite seeing only one side. The further our study goes, or the more experience we get, the more we tend to pretend to be smart, and the more we stick to our one-sided thinking. The more we separate ourselves from the world, the higher and taller the board becomes which we carry on our shoulders. We can say that this shows us how we live as well. Maybe we would ignore the people saying, "Hey, Tanpangkang," to such a cocky person, even if they wanted to correct us, because we will never realize our true on nature by ourselves. Seeing the world through the wisdom and compassion of Buddhism, which is beyond our experience and understanding, we will be able to deeply realize how nurtured our lives are with many causes and conditions which makes us who we are, and how Tanpangkang, our way of seeing, thinking, and living are in such a tiny ego. Dharma make us take off the board from our shoulders and see the world as it is openly. From Shinran's letter called Lamp for the Latter Ages, which I read at the first of this Dharma talk, he recalls his late master Honen's word to him and cited it in his letter. I'm gonna read it. Persons of the Pure Land tradition attain birth in the Pure Land by becoming their foolish selves. Normally, people expect to become smarter and better by learning the teaching of Buddha because they can obtain the Buddha's excellent wisdom and compassion. But Honen Shonin told Shinran Shonin the opposite thing, like saying, to become a foolish self. If you think you are already become a smarter and become a better person, you might have mistaken the teachings. But the teaching is not to tell you to become a crazy person. Yeah. So, but it is more mindful self-reflection to acknowledge one's weakness or one's own weakness, stability, or limitation. And it is a teaching to make us realize that how tampankan or bakatare, our way of seeing, thinking, living, are by hearing Dharma. And it's a teaching to open our heart and mind to outside of my world, and the big connection of each world, each life. This ego or self-attachment is a cause of suffering and a seed of us, which make us bakatare or tampankan, and which is also the very reason why Amida Buddha assures us and nurtures each of us for our entire lives without abandoning anyone. Okay, so I'd like to close my talk by reading a quote from the Shinran Shonin's letter. Again, so please show me in Gassho. Persons of Pure Land tradition attain birth in the Pure Land by becoming their foolish selves. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mikame Sensei. Truly appreciate your Dharma talk. Yeah, I was wondering what this cutting board was here for when I came up earlier. But a wonderful example of how we, physically, how we can see only a part of the world. We have blinders on and see just a narrow view of the world. We're constantly being reminded by the Dharma of how we need to maybe broaden that view, or at least acknowledge that our view of the world is limited. Again, thank you everyone for joining us for this morning's service, for our Dharma School service earlier, and this 10:10 service. Next week is the day after Christmas, December the 26th. There will be no Dharma School service, but there will be a 10 o'clock family service. So please join us for that service. The following weekend, which is January the 2nd, there will be no services conducted on that morning. Please join us, however, for the New Year's Day service, 10 o'clock on New Year's Day, January the 1st, and for our Joyaye service on New Year's Eve. That's at 7 o'clock, I believe. 7 o'clock. So please plan to join us for those two services, our Joyaye service and our Shishoye New Year's Day service on the 31st of 30th of January. What is January? Has how many days? New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, January 1st. Again, thank you for joining us this morning. We'll see you, if not next week at the 10 o'clock service, we'll see you on New Year's Eve or next year on January the 1st. Till then, thank you very much, everybody. Be safe, stay warm. As we conclude, will you please join in Gassho and Sanbutsuge. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you, everybody.